So this started a few weeks ago. While I was cleaning the bathroom, I found a number of long hair strands on my wall beside the shower. This struck me as very strange because not only does my husband not have hair, but I also wear a very short hairstyle. So it's impossible for the strands I found to belong to either me or my husband. I reluctantly washed them away, but couldn't stop thinking about it. I decided not to mention it to him, but I kept looking out for them. And there seems to be a pattern of hairs appearing when I'm either at work or out for a long period of time. I feel like I'm going crazy, and I feel like I shouldn't just immediately go to my husband cheating on me with a long haired woman. So I asked my husband about it, and he just shrugged. This made me even more paranoid, as surely this is something strange. Why is he so blasé about it? I'm starting to think he's playing it down to stop me from finding out the truth. So this kept happening, and I asked my husband about it again. He dismissed it, but this time admitted that it's strange, and told me that the only explanation is that they must be mine. They are not. And after saying this, now he just ignores me if I bring it up. I don't want to assume my husband is cheating on me and accuse him over something so ridiculous. But I'm driving myself crazy trying to work out how the hairs have gotten there. During the lockdown, we haven't had any visitors, so I can rule out his sister. I ultimately decided against getting a secret camera set up because, ironically enough, I didn't want to betray my partner's trust. Even though a part of me wanted to get one to squash any worries of someone living in my house. I did plan to leave for work early, which is something I've never done before. My boss allowed me to leave after a half day. When I returned home, nothing seemed amiss. I was expecting another car on the drive or parked outside on the street. There was no other car I didn't recognize. So I quietly let myself in. I was immediately confused. In the hallway, there was a pair of shoes I didn't recognize. And not only that, they looked like men's shoes. Standing in the hallway trying to work out what to do, if I should sneak around or make my presence known. Before I could decide, my husband walked out of the kitchen with 2 cups of tea. By my husband's face, it was obvious he was surprised to see me. Playing along with naivety, I asked my husband how he could have known I was coming home early to make me tea. Expecting him to lie, he surprised me by sitting me down and explaining everything. He said that at the beginning of lockdown, his friend, someone who I'm not that close with and had only met once, was evicted, lost his job, and had been couch surfing. So for some days over the past couple of weeks, this guy has been traveling to our house and, with the acceptance of my husband, using our bathroom to freshen up and attend interviews. He was also borrowing shirts and suits from my husband. As it turns out, my husband's friend has long hair and a beard. So it turned out my husband wasn't cheating on me, but was hiding the fact that his long-haired friend was coming over to use our shower. After his shower, I ended up meeting Dave. and he turned out to be a very nice bloke just down on his luck. So I wished him the best for his interview and he went on his way. I asked my husband why he didn't just tell me, as I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Turns out he was worried about my reaction and me not liking his friend or approving of the situation. He also told me Dave was very embarrassed about it and didn't want people to know what he was having to do. I told my husband I was starting to believe he was cheating and he was shocked, having not even considering those implications while attempting to cover up for his friend. I told him this whole thing is ridiculous and suggested his friend live with us until he's back on his feet. Funnily enough, my worst case scenario was either a homeless man or woman living in my walls and sneakily using the shower. Though this seems to be half the case, I'm relieved it wasn't a stranger that wasn't welcomed and someone that wasn't living in my basement.
So this happened about 12 years ago. I moved in with a girl who I had been dating for around 8 months. Yeah, I know we moved kinda fast, but we both were not happy with our home lives, and we were able to afford a nice apartment together, so we said fuck it. All was well for the first few months. Then, I started noticing she was being a bit shady. She would keep her phone with her constantly and basically put it in her pocket while she was sleeping. Yeah, looking at it now, that was a major red flag. Also, I worked overnights and she worked during the days. So when I would leave for work, she would barely talk to me at all, even though sometimes we hadn't really talked or seen each other all day. Anyway, I started getting a really bad feeling as I had been through shit like this before. So I started investigating. She used my computer constantly because she didn't have her own. So I downloaded a different messenger program that she didn't know about that kept logs of the chats. She was completely unaware. I began noticing that she was constantly flirting with a lot of other guys, but she hadn't actually physically cheated. One night, while at work, I told my boss about my suspicions. This was at like midnight, and we had 2 hours before anything had to be done. So he said I should drive home and see if she's there. When I got home, she wasn't around. I texted her and asked, "Hey, where are you?" She said she was in the living room watching TV. I was like, "Oh shit, I think I'm in another fucking dimension because I'm standing in the living room." She told me she was at her friend's house. No, this was a guy I knew wanted her. She knew it too. She also wanted him. Yeah, you get the picture. The final kicker came about a week later when she went to a party with a bunch of her friends and didn't come home that night at all. I saw on Facebook that all her friends were online and posting pictures and stories about the party because it was over. She still wasn't home. So when she got home, she was acting extremely sweet and loving. So yeah, I knew something was wrong. Finally, the end you've been waiting for. That same day, the internet guy was at our apartment because my internet was fucking up. While he was there, she went to give the dog a bath and happened to leave her phone on the counter. She never did this. I had to do it. I looked at her text. The very first one I saw was to a guy I didn't know, and it said, "Did you like it when I was on top?" Note, this was her favorite position. Then, the other one after that said, "Next time, we'll use toys." She liked to include vibrators and stuff in sex times. I snapped. I obviously had my suspicions and pretty much knew, but this was 100% confirmation. I looked at the internet guy who was still working on the internet and said, "Dude, you gotta leave now. I don't even care about this internet right now. I just found out this girl is cheating on me." He was like, Yep, see you later. As soon as he was out the door, I lost my goddamn mind. I honestly don't remember a lot of what happened. I just remember yelling and her trying to be mad at me for looking at her phone. What I do remember was saying, "So next time you're gonna use toys, huh?" Then proceed to walk over to where she kept her vibrators and dildos. I carried them up to our second story balcony and threw them off into the field behind our apartment. We lived on an apartment complex and had apartments below, next to, and above us. Then I left before I threw her off too. I went and sat in my car to try to regain composure so I didn't speed off in such a rage. I then got to watch her wander around the field in plain view of all the neighbors and pick up her dildos. I wish I could have laughed about it then, but I definitely was in no mood. But now, every time I think about it, I can't help but laugh my ass off.